Right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking time to join us today in our very interesting session. As this is part of our SFA, Singapore FinTech Association, this is part of our Expand Your Business series. And today we are very, very excited to be sharing with you the Chinese market. So I'm very sure that many of our FinTech members are very excited and keen about this market, but yet to some extent, not many would really understand the market, and especially, of course, there's so many international news that have been cut and various coverage. I think it's timely that SFA take this opportunity to be working with experts as well as government officials of Chinese market to be sharing with you, to paint to you a real picture of exactly what this is and how you can potentially be looking into this space and potentially carve out a space, a niche for yourself in this market. Now, let me just walk. My name is Ruben. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Singapore FinTech Association, and thank you for joining us today. I'll just walk you through quickly on the agenda. So there is because of the meetings that our Xu Qi is experiencing, so probably we will have a flip in the program. So firstly, we will be inviting Mr. Liu Feiyu, and he is the chairman of Shanghai West Bund Development of Shanghai District, Shanghai, and he will be supported by Wei Lan, the Director of Investment Promotion Office of Shanghai District, and they will be sharing with us about the district and what are the opportunities presented within the district. And then after that, we will have an opening address by Mr. Xu Sujie. Mr. Xu Sujie is the Deputy District Mayor of Putuo District, and he will also be sharing an opening with us. And then after that, there will be a panel discussion, firstly moderated by me, and joining me, I have Mr. Pang Yiyan, the CEO of Suburban Jurong, and I have Wesley, who is the founder and CEO of Nexus Global. And during the panel discussion, we'll be going in depth as to really to understand how can you navigate a market like China, and what are some of the potential, what are some of the possibilities that is being uncovered at the moment. And in the meantime, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put it on a Q&A, and we'll do our best to address them. All right, so without further ado, let me hand the time over to our friends from Shanghai West Bund. So may I present to you Mr. Li Feiyu as well as Madam Wei Lan. By the way, before I forget, the presentation by our guests in China, our friends from China, will be in Mandarin, but they have slides that will be in dual language, and I shall also make an attempt to summarize their sharing as well before I hand over to the next speaker. And now, may I hand the floor over to Mr. Li Feiyu as well as Madam Wei Lan. 现在有请李飞宇董事和魏主任进行发言。
好，各位新加坡朋友，大家下午好。我是上海西岸集团的董事长李飞宇，非常感谢新加坡金融科技协会和生意集团能够邀请我，让我在这里介绍西岸。虽然这一次不能到现场和大家做分享，但是我把美丽的黄浦江、迷人的西岸已经带到了大家的眼前。我相信它一定已经吸引了你的目光。同时呢，今天我也很高兴能够介绍徐汇区投促办的魏兰女士和我一起，大家所感兴趣的一些产业方面的政策的情况和她进一步的做交流。首先，我想说，徐汇区位于上海市中心城区的西南部，它有着深厚的资源禀赋，在全市范围内拥有最多的历史保护建筑，就是我们通常说的衡山路、复兴路风貌保护区，还有优质的教育、三甲医院、文艺院团集聚在这个地方。全市呢，我们应该有60%以上的院士和专家住在或者说工作在徐汇区。同时，徐汇区还拥有黄浦江两岸中心城区当中岸线最长、成片开发条件最为成熟的区域。这片区域就是我们今天所看到的上海西岸。首先，让我们通过一则短片来了解西岸。
Xuhui Waterfront is located in the southwest of Shanghai city center, facing the Huangpu River in the east. It enjoys great advantages in terms of location, culture, and transportation. It used to be the most important basis of manufacture and storage of Shanghai and one of the cradles of Chinese national industries. Identified as a high-quality central activity zone that carries the core functions of global cities by Shanghai 2035 Master Plan, known now by the name of Shanghai West Bund, it is making the presence of China heard by the world. Since 2008, Shanghai West Bund has been taking the opportunities brought by Shanghai Expo and the construction project connecting Huangpu riverbanks. A public open space stretching 8.4 kilometers along the river from Lupu Bridge to Tripu Bridge has been successfully built under the efforts of Shanghai West Bund through endeavors including land acquisition and storage backbone road network construction, protective development of industrial remains, so forth. In 2015, it earned the title of Paradigmatic Habitat Environment in China and was honored as the most beautiful section in the route of Shanghai International Marathon. Guided by the concept of 14th Five-Year Plan and the principles of planning-led, culture-guided, ecology-preceded, technology innovation-oriented development, Shanghai West Bund is improving its impact as a cultural brand and promoting the construction of the 4 industrial clusters. Driven by the AA strategy, in-depth integration of AI and art, West Bund is to become the integrated development demonstration zone with high-quality development, premium life, and efficient governance. Since 2012, Shanghai West Bund has witnessed the opening of Long Museum, Use Museum, West Bund Art Center, and Tank Shanghai in the space along the river. In 2019, West Bund started a 5-year cooperation program with the Center Pompidou. The Museum Mile has become a regional platform for cultural exchange with the highest international standards. At the same time, Art West Bund, a cultural venue marking the highest public engagement, is held every year, attracting millions of audiences from around the globe to explore and enjoy. In 2021, West Bund Art and Design, which aims at becoming China's Basel, has achieved the 4th ranking around the globe. The West Bund has witnessed the holding of the first 3 Shanghai International Artwork Trade Month events. Altogether, they are contributing to the building of the core area of the trillion-level art industry, which serves Shanghai's strategic planning in becoming an international cultural metropolitan. West Bund Media Port. West Bund Media Port covers a total construction area of 1.1 million square meters. It has gathered the Yangtze River Delta headquarter China Media Group, Shanghai Main Station, Chengtong, Tencent, Mongxiang, Youdzu Interactive, NetEase, and other leading enterprises looking to become an international landmark in media, culture, and urban development and put into full operation in 2021. West Bund AI Valley, taking the opportunity brought by the 2018 and the 2019 World Artificial Intelligence with the world's first AI tower as its flagship. West Bund AI Valley is a high-profile project covering a total construction area of 1.2 million square meters. A number of renowned AI enterprises at home and abroad have entered the AI tower, such as Shanghai Qizhi Institute, MSRA, Alibaba Group, Huawei, SenseTime, Jian and United Imaging, jointly building a national-level strategic emerging industry cluster and accelerating the establishment of the trillion-level AI industry. West Bund Financial City, centering on the goal of building an international financial center in Shanghai. The construction of the 1.8 million square meter West Bund Financial Center has been launched in early 2020. As an industrial platform that integrates finance, technology, and culture, it will become the new growth point for the International Financial Center in Shanghai. The decade to come will be a new start for grand achievements. West Bund carries out the municipal strategy summarized as 4 functions and 5 centers in developing Shanghai so as to promote the regional digital transformation. In the modern time, we are looking forward to the new chapter of Better City, Better Life. West Bund spares no effort in becoming an extraordinary waterfront of international metropolis.
感谢大家的观赏。西岸呢，曾经是上海近代民族工业的发源地。它是以2008年上海世博会为契机，围绕着建设国际大都市的卓越水岸为目标，遵循着规划引领、文化先导、生态优先、科创主导的发展理念，在规划设计和产业定位上对标巴黎的左岸、伦敦的南岸。同时呢，我们也充分学习借鉴了新加坡滨海湾的经验，持续推进产业转型与城市更新。历经了10年，实现了从工业袖带向生活袖带的华丽转变，努力将上海西岸打造成为知名的水岸的品牌、城市的名片。西岸的发展同时也受到了国内外媒体的广泛关注和报道。中国中央电视台在新闻报道中数次向全国、全球推介西岸，纽约时报、卫报、金融时报等国际的主流媒体也对西岸的城市更新、产业导入给予了高度的评价。通过近10年的积累，西岸品牌的知名度和影响力持续的在提升。徐汇滨江荣获中国人居环境伴侣奖，被称为上海马拉松的最美赛段。作为上海市全球的新品首发地，国际一线的品牌首发首秀齐聚西岸。首届世界人工智能大会在上海西岸举行，也带动了人工智能的产业集聚。这里的生态艺术创新的标签愈发的显著，构建起了国际大都市卓越水岸的基本框架。西岸也把握住机会，主动作为，承载国家战略性新兴产业集群的建设任务，立足上海，服务全国，面向世界，充分发挥成片开发的品牌优势。沿黄浦江及腹地，我们布局了6个100万级体量的组团，承载了人工智能、艺术传媒、科技金融、生命健康4位一体的产业生态。目前我们所说的一港一股一城已相对成熟，集聚了中央广播电视总台长三角总站、腾讯的华东区总部、阿里巴巴的上海总部、网易的上海总部，以及7智研究院、围绕亚洲研究院上海等一批顶尖的研究机构和企业。产业生态呢也日趋完善。同时，我们通过了南拓西进，发挥辐射带动作用，加快推动西岸的生命蓝湾、西岸的热力场以及我们中部的融合更新区域，为未来的5到10年的发展预留下非常想象极大的空间。其中，西岸传媒港着力打造以艺术传媒为引领的文化创意集群，地上建筑面积有110万的平方米，在2021年全面建成，目前正转入企业的入驻。在西岸文化艺术品牌的引领下，首届我们上海的国际艺术品交易月在西岸拉开了帷幕，成为上海面向全球的艺术传媒产业标杆性的品牌。西岸艺术与设计博览会已连续举办了8届，作为全球艺博会重要的一站，规模跻身在全球第4。西岸美术馆与法国蓬皮杜中心的5年展陈合作，是中法之间最高级别、最长周期的国际间的交流。法国总统马克龙亲临现场为他揭幕。西岸数字谷着力打造以人工智能为核心的数字经济产业集群，地上的建筑面积也在120万平方米，正在全面转入竣工收尾。旗舰的项目西岸智塔也已经建成投用，它构建起了上下楼就是上下游的产业生态，垂直硅谷在业内也享有盛誉。2018年，首届世界人工智能大会在西岸举办，来自世界各地的科学家畅游在艺术气息浓厚、生态环境优美的滨水空间，带动了众多标杆性企业的落地集群。西岸金融城由香港置地整体开发，是香港置地自香港中环、新加坡滨海湾金融中心后最大的全球的投资项目，着力打造以金融科技为先导的现代金融产业集群。地上的建筑面积也是110万平方米，将于2027年陆续建成。 上海国际金融中心的发展论坛作为全市金融的产业标杆平台，在2021年落户在了上海西岸，将进一步推动金融投资机构在此集聚，致力打造继外滩和陆家嘴之后，沿黄浦江之畔上海国际金融中心的新增长体。西岸生命蓝湾依托了徐汇区丰富的基础研究及临床医疗资源，研发和临床最为紧密的生态环境，着力打造以生物医药为重点的生命健康产业集群。规划的地上建筑面积100万平方米，构建及研发临床制造于一体的产业创新高地，目前也正在加快推进它的功能定位和规划研究。西岸热力厂，这原本是上海的粮食储备基地，形态丰富的各类粮仓予以保留和更新利用，规划和保留建筑的面积总量也在100万平方米，沿将去结合我们上海市划船俱乐部等国家级的体育项目，导入文化、体育、生态、创新功能，把核心区的活力向南拓展激发。建成以后呢，沿西岸滨江每隔3公里，大家都有聚焦点和起点，共同构成上海西岸面向国际的地区名片。中部的融合更新区，位于西岸滨江与徐汇腹地的连接的重要枢纽，规划地上建筑面积100万平方米，通过握指成拳的作用，联动徐汇中城和交通枢纽，把沿江的开放空间、核心商务区先期积累的发展动能辐射至更广的范围。其中以上海人工智能创新中心为旗舰项目，计划年内开工建设。目前我们也正在和新加坡盛誉集团进行战略合作，加快整体片区的功能定位和规划研究。最后呢，介绍完西岸的现实与愿景，我想通过一个小故事作为结尾。世界现代密码学的奠基人、图灵奖得主姚其智院士，在为七智研究院选址的时候，曾一度以上海其他区域作为重点的考察对象。但当他与夫人一同走进西岸的美术馆，漫步在徐汇滨江沿线之后，夫妻二人很快就决定，西岸是他们要做世界一流研究的地方。走在滨江大道，闻到江风吹来的桂花香，这样的景象不仅引人入胜，还到了忘我的境界。而这种情境就是我们做研究的人最适合的环境。西岸的生态环境、艺术气息、科创氛围深深打动了姚院士，同样也在吸引企业和人才落户西岸。各位新加坡的朋友，各位嘉宾，欢迎大家到西岸来一起走一走、看一看。希望您成为西岸的一员，来共同推动和见证西岸迈向卓越水岸。谢谢大家。
谢谢李董，谢谢。那 just want to emphasize again, thank you to Mr. Dong Feiyu, the chairman of Shanghai West Bund Development. Now, ladies and gentlemen, he has given us a very insightful introduction to West Bund, and if it's a place that you are looking into investing into Shanghai, West Bund is definitely a place for you to consider. And West Bund is and just to summarize some of the things that he has shared earlier, it is really a place that have been focusing on ecology, art, and innovation, and how it managed to comprise for such a zone like that, how it managed to comprise everything into one area where it really forms a hub where you can support innovations such as AI, as well as art, all ease into one. And that itself not just only good for investors, but it's also fantastic for living. And more importantly, within the West Bund itself, it houses technology companies like Tencent, Microsoft, Ping An, and Xiaomi. So I think I would like to once again express our appreciation for Mr. Lee for sharing all these details with us. And now, may I then hand over the time to Mr. Xu Shijie. Mr. Xu Shijie is the Deputy District Mayor of Putuo District in Shanghai. 现在有请徐树杰上海市普陀区政府副区长致辞。有请。对不起，徐局长没能听见啊，现在可以了。
可以了吗？
可以。有请。
OK， OK，谢谢主持人，也特别感谢盛誉的潘董的邀请，也跟各位线上的嘉宾，大家下午好。先向大家说一声抱歉啊，刚才因为上海一些疫情的一些突发状况，原定的时间稍微耽误了几分钟啊，也在连线已经处理完毕了。借这个机会呢，也感谢我们远在新加坡的朋友，在过去几个月里面，上海封控抗疫期间啊，通过这个电话微信的方式对我们表示了关心和支持，一并也表示感谢啊。很荣幸今天能够受邀参加新加坡金融科技协会通商中国的网络研讨会。我仅代表上海市普陀区的人民政府，对我们这一次研讨会的顺利的举行表示热烈的祝贺，也对新加坡金融科技协会盛情的邀请和精心的组织表示衷心的感谢。全球新冠肺炎疫情大流行的背景下，疫情的防控和经济的复苏的双重压力，极大的加速了世界经济的数字化转型。以区块链、云计算、人工智能和大数据应用等为代表的金融科技的产业创新，及时的响应了当下无接触支付、在线结算、智能风控等非常迫切的产业的需求、市场的需求，引领了全球金融业的创新和变革，也成为我们全球各个国家增强核心竞争力的一个重要的抓手。新加坡在世界银行2020的营商环境评级当中排名全球第2，领先全球的态势非常的强劲，也是我们全世界著名的金融中心、贸易中心，更是亚洲金融科技之都和全球金融科技领域的佼佼者，在区块链、加密货币、数字银行等各个领域都有非常卓越的探索，还通过了支付服务的法案、金融科技服务提供商合规准备框架等值得业界关注和我们广泛学习的超前的产业举措和政策举措。那么中国这几年呢，数字经济也发展的非常的迅速，移动支付等相关的新基建应用场景在全球也处于一个比较领先的势头。中国的金融科技也走过了过去的5年，政策的普适化、场景的线上化、渠道的网络化、技术的成熟化，以及市场的进一步下沉的这么一个阶段。在这个过程当中也涌现了相当数量的非常优质的金融科技企业。中国的金融科技市场本身也在成为全球金融科技产业的一个聚焦点。2022年，中国的人民银行也印发了金融科技发展规划2022到2025，推动了我国的金融科技从立柱架梁迈向了机后城市的一个高质量转化的发展阶段。那么上海呢，作为中国最具有全球影响力的国际金融中心之一，在2022年第31期全球金融中心指数 GFCI 排名是第4。上海金融的要素市场逐步完备，金融机构也进一步的聚集，金融人才也进一步的丰富，我们科技创新的资源也更加的活跃。金融科技中心也是上海国际金融中心建设“十四五”规划当中提出的2中心目标的其中之一。近年来呢，上海也在加快刚才我听我们李董也在介绍很多金融数字化的产业布局和转型的步伐，在推进我们金融科技关键技术研发，提升金融科技的整体的应用水平，促进产业集聚，营造良好环境等各个方面都采取了一系列的举措，也开展了人民银行金融科技创新监管、数字人民币、资本市场金融科技创新等多项的重大的试点，金融科技中心的建设也初具成效。刚才我所提到的 第31期 GFCI 的金融科技也有单项排名当中，上海有位列全球第2的这种单项指标。那么普陀区呢，也是上海的7个中心城区之一，在上海的西北部，区域面积 55.5 平方公里，常住人口有130万，也是中心城区里面面积最大、人口最多的区之一。区域的交通是非常便利，也是上海连接长江流域和中国长三角区域的最重要的陆上的门户中心城区，历来也有上海7大堂的美誉，发展的空间非常广阔盛誉集团也到过我们这里，专门做过很深入的调研。全区目前可以利用的土地、房产这些产业的资源空间是居中心城区第一位的。产业转型这几年的成效也非常的显著，现代服务业在区税的占比当中已经超过 50%， 其中智能软件、研发服务、科技金融和生命健康4个重点的产业培育，产业贡献的比重逐年大幅提升。同时在最近的5年，我们有大量的创新资源，包括国家级的纷纷落地，有中以两国的国家级的创新园，有清华大学国际创新中心，也有工业控制安全创新服务平台和机器人产业技术服务平台。此外呢，我们去年也建成发布国家级的网络安全产业综合示范园区，这与我们金融科技发展息息相关。那么眼下的普陀呢，也正在经历数字蝶变和金融先行的双重转型。首先是在重点的培育数字经济相关的产业，目前在普陀以天地软件园、华大科技园和上海智能制造及机器人产业园为代表的数字经济的特色产业园区已经形成了集聚之势，也先后创建了大数据、人工智能、移动互联网等9个上海市一级的4星经济产业创新基地，360金融、文泰科技创新中心，还有拥有饿了么、口碑等品牌的阿里系本地生活服务板块等一大批的互联网领军企业总部都在普陀集聚，拉卡拉、收钱吧等数字支付行业的龙头单位也集聚在我们这里，所以还是拥有比较丰富的上下游的产业资源。同时我们在全力提升区域经济的含金量，目前定位在上海国际金融中心特色金融示范区是普陀的核心定位，多年来也秉承发展金融的战略定力，倾力打造了 13.4 平方公里的我们刚才这个 PPT 上所显示的上海科技金融的产业集聚区。过去5年，科技金融产业在区里的贡献年均增速超过 30%， 科技金融的特色日益的凸显。我们这2年也特别聚焦金融，吸引和集聚类似远东宏信融资租赁、360金融等高能级的金融机构，包括科技创新的引导基金、资本招商推上 3.0 模式，科技加金融加场景的生态圈也基本构建。同时还集聚行业内的核心要素，拥有上海唯一的联合产权交易所、上海科技金融博物馆等平台要素。在上海证券交易所、上海市地方金融监管局的指导下，我们与联交所联合打造了上海科创企业金融服务中心、金融的综合服务中心，也秉承我们上海数字创新大会的重大的赛事和会展的品牌优势。我们与上海交通大学、上海高级金融学院也合作落户了国际金融科技师的认证项目，取得了业界非常好的青睐热度越来越高。同时还推动包括人才培养在内的金融科技全链条的发展。我们也与我们属地的华东师范大学合作揭牌了华师大长三角金融科技研究院，在金融科技创新实验基地、金融科技的行业标准制定等方面 开展了一系列前沿的探索。那么接下来呢，我们也推出了我们取了一个谐音中文里的谐音叫普希金我们普陀的普，吸引的吸金融的金3年的行动计划，大力的发展数字金融，积极开展数字人民币的试点创新，也不断的升级我们普惠贷的对各类企业的融资服务的新的平台。这次疫情当中也发挥了非常大的作用我们也注意到6月20号协会和我们新加坡金融管理局联合宣布启动2022新加坡金融科技节全球金融科技奖的申请。这次的主题应该是拥抱数字化，描绘新常态。那么我也以此为呼应我们普陀也在联合华师大长三角金融科技研究院，也将在7月启动举办第3届的金融科技创新应用的全球大赛。在数字化的新征程和常态下，我们也真心希望我们今天有幸参与这次研讨，也是一个新的起点，也跟我们的新加坡朋友们能够克服疫情的影响，更多的联系互动，大家一起来帮忙，大家一起来合作，打造我们上海我们区和我们协会合作的新典范。也最后再次感谢我们线上的各位嘉宾新老朋友对我们上海的关心，对我们普陀的关心，也祝愿大家能够宏图大展，健康顺心，期待大家能够早一点在上海在普陀我们面对面再续发展。谢谢大家。
谢谢徐素杰徐区长，麻烦你ladies and gentlemen, just want to express appreciation for Mr. Xi for his very interesting and insightful introduction of Putuo. Now, first and foremost, what Mr. Xi has done is that he actually gave us a very quick introduction about Shanghai as a market, and he has also highlighted that if Shanghai itself has actually achieved number 2 in the global fintech center index, number 2 in the fintech arena for GFSC, and has also recorded number 4 as an overall market. And then, of course, he also elaborated about how strong China is in their development for CBDC, the central bank digital currency. And then he went on to elaborate a bit more about what Putuo is, and very interestingly, Putuo itself already has, in terms of residency, it already has 1.3 million residents. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do take that just Putuo alone itself seats 1.3 million people, and you compare that to Singapore, where we only have about close to 7 million. And he also noted that Putuo itself is a regional HQ of many notable Chinese internet companies. And on top of that, interestingly, he also highlighted that in Putuo itself, there is a fintech museum, and I think this is something that we will be definitely very keen to explore further. And not only that, he has also shared one of many programs that is highlighted there. One of them was actually the Chartered Global FinTech Certification Program. So that is something that I would share. I'm sure that it will actually be the interest of many of our listeners. And last but not least, he wishes us well, and he also highlighted that Putuo District will also be collaborating with Singapore and SFF with our MAS during the upcoming Singapore FinTech Festival. Now, once again, thank you very much to Mr. Xi for his insightful introduction. Now, let's go into our next part of the agenda. And right now, I'm very happy to have with me a couple of guest speakers. I have Mr. Pang Yiyan, the CEO of Sabana Jurong, as well as Wesley, who is the CEO and founder of Nexus Global. Now, what I'll do next is maybe I will hand the floor to both to Yiyan and Wesley to give a quick introduction, as well as to share about their journey in China and their experience with working with fintech in China. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may be of interest to note that while these two gentlemen may not be from the fintech space, but you can mark my words that working in China and your success in China, more important, is determined by the experience the experience that you need to have in how to manage the market, how to enter the market, more than the product itself. And I can't find it, and really these two speakers are very qualified in what they have gone through, and I'm very happy to have them to share their experience with you today. Now, maybe I will start out with Yiyan first before I hand over to Wesley.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Ruben, for the wonderful job. It's a tough job, I know, managing online sessions. 下午好，徐期长，李董事长，还有各位普陀和许会的领导们。I'm glad that we have Sabang Jurong has the opportunity to work together with SFA to have this discussion. Too bad it can't be done face to face, but online is equally good, and I will encourage participants to give us the questions and the clarifications that you need and what sort of assistance that you will need along the way. So myself, Bang Yan, I started in the Chinese market in 1996. All right, I started my involvement in Chinese market through the Suzhou Industrial Park. And I used to watch Shanghai grow. And if you can imagine, I used to stand on the western side of the Bund looking at the Putong, and now Putong, then it was a village houses. And now Putong, as it is such a wonderful development. Both sides of the river has gone so much different. So that is the same for the Chinese economy. Myself, I've involved in several major projects like Tianjin Eco City, such as the Jiling Food Zone. I was also involved in the selection of the Chongqing strategic connectivity projects. On the detail side, we have worked, Sabang Jurong has worked in great detail in China. We are the major, for example, we are the major designer of petrochemical hubs. 2/3 of the petrochemical hubs, key petrochemical hubs are designed by Sabang Jurong. So these are sectors that we have been actively involved in, including industrial parks. So China over the last 30 years has progressed enormously. And if you can imagine, when I was there in the 1990s, it was a watershed moment. Things were not clear, things were uncertain, and all of us were guessing. I still remember I was guessing where would Shanghai be and where would Suzhou be, and those are watershed moments. A lot of things are determined during those days. And I'm glad to report, I mean, you can see for yourself, good developers like CapitaLand, Capo and all, they have of Singapore taking good stands there and achieving quite a lot of results. And I must say, after I returned, before I took up this job back to Sabang Jurong, I was with the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So I left in 2000. I left Beijing in 2020, and in the last 2 years, I would say that it is a watershed moment again in China. All right, things have changed a lot. The COVID has forced a lot of changes, and China has adopted significant amount of policies. And some of which affects the technology front, and the elephant in the room is that all of us are wondering, where is this market going? All right, so it's an exciting moment, at the same time worrying moments as well. So if you ask me, I tend to think that this is again that moment where you either you're able to seize the market and grow from there, or you're going to miss the market, or you're going to make a decision wrongly, and you have undesirable consequences. So we as decision makers have that responsibility to look into that crystal ball. So this is the very important time that you are looking at this crystal ball with the right information, with the right perspective to make this decision. And we're glad that we organized this session for all of us to exchange our views for this. In making decisions like this, I hope that you remember a few things. My little offering, I would say that China, number one, China is going to be continue to be a key market in the world. With a GDP 1/6 of US and a population of that 1.5 billion, that is the kind of size that we are looking at, the kind of opportunities that we present. It's not a minor market. It's a center of trade and investments. China is now the key trading partners of most countries in this world. If it's not number one, it's number 2 or 3. All right. The kind of opportunity you get to be in the system, in the trading, in terms of financing, in terms of enabling this financing to happen, I cannot articulate on your behalf. You can imagine how much it is. And the third important part of our Chinese market, it continues to embrace technology. Just now you have heard the Putuo and the Shanghai government articulating their support for technology. All right, which comes to a topic, the concerns of the fate of technology in China. My personal view, I watch the technology, but while I'm not a technology person per se, I watch the technology market quite closely. I think the concerns need to be specific now. Because of the policy, the broader policies of China, you need to decide where are you placed in all this policy. It cannot be overgeneralized. You have to decide whether Chinese market is a suitable market for you. Those days when the P2P market was so popular and then was bashed down by policy because of the bad influence that it has on society, was just the start. All right, so you continue to evolve. You have to decide where you are playing. So it doesn't help where you say that because cryptocurrency is not quite supported, so blockchain is not supported. It's not that way, right? You have read enough of blockchain being supported in China as well. So you have to use that technology in the understanding of this giant market. On the point of Singaporeans going in, I have the hope that the technology sector, just like the real estate sector in the 1990s and 2000s, led the way into the Chinese market. If the Singapore participants went in very strong and pretty well regarded, holding that reputation, deserving of a Singapore company. I hope Singapore fintech companies would also do the same. We go in with credible standing. We go in with good corporate governance because we fly the flag of Singapore. I would say that I'm not afraid of companies going in and needing help. We'll definitely extend our help. But we are more worried for companies that will destroy the reputation of Singapore companies in China. So I think it's a good time to come into this market, but please keep our flag flying high by doing the right things in the technology market. All right, and that comes to my final point, is that what is needed in moving forward. I think you need to choose a good location. The location matters. All right, you know, and my personal favorite, not that I'm have any bias, because Xihui and Putuo is my partner, are my partners. I think Shanghai is a good market. Just as a comparison, Shanghai's stock exchange is probably 7 trillion size versus Singapore is about 700 million. 700 billion. So they are about 10 times the size in US dollars terms. Okay, but yet it is probably only 1/4 of that of New York stock market. So there is room for growth and there is sizable transaction. So that is a market that is good for fintech, I presume. For us, it is a market size of a GDP about 2 times that of Singapore. So I think Shanghai as a market would grow that capability. The second point about location, policies matter. So every district, every province has different policies, and you have to decide which ones are the ones that would favor your condition. And I presume Shanghai shouldn't be one that too bad as well. So please look that up. As SJ, we are here to support you. Carol and Dennis, my teammates also in this exchange, will be glad that if you have any questions, let us know how to enter into various markets, and we hope for you to understand Shanghai better, in particular Putuo and Xuhui. Let us know how we can be of help to you. All right, with that, I pass it back to Ruben. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for providing so much insight. And as exactly to your point, right? You're here to provide the perspective so that our listeners can come in with their eyes open and be wiser as to how to enter this market. And that exactly to your point. Later on, before we end, I will also be inviting Madam Wei Lan, who will also be sharing some of these initiatives that they have as to how that's available for the foreign investors to enter into the market. Now, let me hand it over now to Wesley. So Wesley, perhaps you can share with us about your experience in China, and also how do you see this market, especially for fintech?
Okay, thank you, Ruben, for your introduction and also the invitation. 各位领导好，徐汇和普陀的领导好。Of course, most importantly, the members of our SFA members. So I guess I would like to share the real insights, how we have learned, pay experiences, and be transforming the company into this platform. So Nexus Global, basically, it is an AI-empowered business platform to connect ASEAN and China, and likewise from China to ASEAN markets. So this is what we do. So the prominent project we have done recently will be helping Singapore Press Holdings to set up the technology center in Chongqing. That was about 2 years ago. So this is a more prominent project we have been doing. Now, Nexus Global is a joint venture between WiseNet Asia and Millet Holdings. So we came together basically again to connect China and ASEAN to China. So my own personal experiences, we have been doing or going into China market for about since 2000. And we have done 3 major government-to-government projects. So like Ian, we have went in early for the Tianjin Eco City project, subsequently the Guangzhou Knowledge City project, and then third would be the Chongqing Singapore Connectivity Initiative project. So altogether 3 G2G projects. Basically, the main key areas is to help Singapore companies to go into China market. So that's what we have done. So I guess what I would like to share would be, now we understand the attendance rate today is good. And most of you must have certain reasons why you are interested in this topic. So therefore, I guess the important part I would like to share would be now, even though the China market is big, is huge, is a lot of opportunity and potentials. But bear in mind that ask yourself, I guess, would that market, China market, is something that really is the area that you can develop wholeheartedly, because without the whole commitment, you cannot win in the China market. Take as an example, I guess for the last 10 years, I've been seeing a lot of Singapore companies, including the tech companies, going to China, and most of them fly in and out. They do not set up entity. They do not send the staff to be based at China. And almost 10 out of 10 basically fail and exit the China market. So my honest opinion is, now if you guys are so interested in the China market, either you yourself go into China market, spend your at least minimum 6 months to 1 year time to place yourself in China market. I'll talk about the location and such, but I guess importantly, the mindset of this commitment to be based at China would be important. Now, either you yourself or your co-founder or your key members that would have this interest and availability to be based in China, I guess that would be most important. And having to even speak the language, even for Mandarin, doesn't mean you understand or we understand China market, because the way of doing business, the way of even conducting meetings are very, very different from the way we Singaporeans are doing. So therefore, I guess key number one, are you prepared to commit yourself to China and willing to be based there? I guess that's number one, or else it will turn out to be a failing entity. So therefore, I think honestly, that is the first advice that I would like to share with you. Second, when it comes to the location, bear in mind, I guess with the current political situations, almost all the provincial government in China are most welcoming our Singapore companies as well as ASEAN companies to go into China. So bear in mind, we have options. Make sure we have done enough study about the policies given by different provinces. Even among different same provinces, different districts, the policies can be very different. So therefore, I guess this is the area, the second point, if you don't have access, either come to us or you can always consult Enterprise Singapore, the center director in the China markets that you are eyeing. You should be asking a lot of questions. What are the policies? Now, according to just now, I think those of the speakers from Juhui and Putuo share, they also mentioned about the talents, 人才. So is our staff or the co-founder willing to be based there, have the skill set to talk to the industry, to understand the market? Have you done enough survey? I think those are the important questions. If we have not done enough homework on which are the provinces to share, I guess then if we share choose the right provinces with the support government, whether it is the provincial level or at the district government level, that make a huge difference. I told you, those district government or the provincial government have different policies for us to use, whether it is the tax rebate. The tax rebate can be as high as 5 million RMB, some of which can be as low as 1 million. There are some certain startup funding support from different district government would be able to support the entrepreneurship. For example, 人才青年人才计划. Even the lowest side would be about 600,000 type of government grant support the incoming startup to go into China. So therefore, I guess the second point to summarize, choose the location and provincial government that has the best policies to support, and bear in mind to ask a lot of concrete policy. For example, just now I talked about the tax rebate. Then also there will be the 人才公寓, those housing subsidies. We can stay at a 3-bedroom apartments that's about 1,002 square feet at the cost of about 400 Sing. Yeah, so make sure we ask a lot of concrete policies, how to quantify all these, make the best policies that we can help. Of course, I guess to tap on our Singapore government grants on the ESG market readiness grant, I think that grant will allow us to have 2 maximum overseas staff to be based at China market. Therefore, almost the first year rental, first year salary are being covered from Singapore. Now, if we can talk to the China government side, then we can get the extra tax incentives, extra entrepreneurship programs. Basically, the first year startup will be free. So therefore, I guess those are the second things that I would like you to understand. Third, don't underestimate the cash flow and also the cash on hand to be spent in China. Now, so why do I say that? So to set up a company in China, although the administration is easier, usually it's about on average, it's about 1 month. Basically, we can get it done. But again, because there are a lot of different administration processes, we may need to get one full-time employee just to handle all those tax accounting issues for reporting to the district government or provincial government that you subsequently set up the entity. And then also bear in mind, for those 招商引资, all those government, whichever location that you choose, first of all, they will always ask you about with the pay up capital. If we are just using, say if it's less than 1 million, 100 万 renminbi, the treatment compared to when you put in the 5 million or 10 million would be very, very different. So therefore, bear in mind there are two options. First, they would be asking you, would that be 实缴 or 认缴? So again, our pay-up capital have two different types. The 认缴 meaning you can just quote a number that you want to register the company. Okay, so therefore you can say 5 million, but you don't have to put out the hard cash into setting the company. Okay, but then the second options would be the 实缴. 实缴 would be the hard cash that you have to commit to the company and put in the money into the district. So therefore, again, understanding what the other parties from the China side, of course, now we are all KPI driven, whether it is, bear in mind, whether it is the government official or it is from the company's level. KPI is the most critical point that we all have to realize, the KPI. So from their perspective, the more of the 实缴 hard cash that you put in, the better, because they will hit the KPI. So therefore, bear in mind all these minor issues when people are asking you when you are ready to set up an entity in China, whether 是实缴 或者认缴. Those, I guess, those are the number 3 points that I would like to share. Of course, the exit plan. Do you have an exit plan? Or I haven't even started to talk how to entry. I talk about exit plan, but I guess this would be also important in our whole mindset. How to exit subsequently, whether to grow the company, then what next? I think before we even start, we have to think through this process. Not that the exit would be exit from China, exit from the company side, whether you want to sell the shares to the China entities or your joint venture partners. So I just want to clarify, it's not to exit China. So we are talking on the same topic. Of course, I guess the entry, this entry is, again, what I share, go and station in China, or else you never understand the market. And my sincere opinion for all of you would be avoid joint venture. Especially when we are new Singapore fintech company going into China. There are a lot of experience in the past, so I would strongly suggest to have your own control first. And the best is to find suitable and collaborating partners as a start. Whether we can ask from the help of Enterprise Singapore or from the provincial government or district government to recommend some of the possible collaborator that will be safer and to avoid all the entry mistake that I've seen so far. So that would be the 4th point that I'll be making. Okay, now I guess the final one would be when to enter. So I would suggest either after November this year or after the Chinese New Year. You can take a look at all this timing. By then, 两会 will be finished, and more policies and changes among all the leaders will be more stable. you can take a look after all those stabilization, and of course, most importantly, the borders being open. For with this, I guess to summarize, I guess certainly China is an exciting market, but ask ourselves, are we ready? Do we have enough resources, either in the monetary, or is the talent, most important talent, that's able to help us to grow into the China market? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess these are the honest sharing, a lot of learning experiences and lessons to be paid through all the years of experience. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Wesley. And you have highlighted many important key points there. And I wish I could have more time to elaborate some of those points there. Now, before we hand the floor over to Madam Wei, who can share more with us some of the initiatives, and that's exactly to your point, different district has different offerings, and Madam Wei has prepared something to share with our audience. I do have just one question that, but I'm also mindful of time, so perhaps I'll just want to invite Ian and Wesley to just maybe touch on it very quickly to give our audience some insight as well, because both Mr. Xi and Mr. Lee touch on 13th five-year plan. So in China, there's this high-level political, every 5 years there's a 5-year planning, 5年规划. So perhaps I would just want to invite the two of you just quickly touch on the political landscape, not to comment on the politics itself, but maybe to just share with our audience how to navigate this political landscape and its relationship with the business, because fintech we do have seen some cases where some industry have been caught in the thick of things, and then just from your experience, how can our audience navigate this landscape? And I'm mindful of time, so probably in the next 1 minute, I'll just invite both Ian and Wesley. Maybe let me start with Wesley first before I hand over to Ian.
So I guess after the Liang Hui, which happens in September, been done, I guess all the leaders have been more stabilized, and then the policies would be more indefinite. So it would be more definite. So therefore, I guess those are the better timing after the Liang Hui to look into the China market, especially to understand the policies given. Again, to hear from our SFA, Enterprise Singapore, as well as, of course, for our platform. Just so therefore I think after the September Liang Hui, I guess those are the best timing to review again. Are we ready to go into the China market?
Right, thanks, Wesley. And to you, Ian?
Sorry, I may, Wesley, I have to apologize. I kind of differ opinion with you. Because if I'm going to wait for Liang Hui to happen, and make my investment decision, I think I won't have good deals to cut. And the period of uncertainty, things will be more certain there, right? So I cannot maximize my leverage. So I feel honestly, from an investment perspective, you're trying to get a good deal, you're trying to get the special understanding with the government, or you're trying to push for agenda that is quite different from you. Number one, you know what product that you're pushing for, and whether you will contravene any of the policies, and you can sense what would be the general direction moving forward already. The agenda of common prosperity, the common good, the push for common good, would be there. So some of this decision, if you're in the area that is on the safer hands, I would encourage you all to actually take this window of opportunity when things are not so certain. The first moment when Li Dong gives me the green light to go to China in Shanghai, I'll make sure I'll go down to visit him. That's how I would think I need to cut a good deal, because it's very difficult to be competitive as well. This is a time that people needs me more than more than when things are stabilized. That's my perspective. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, Ian. I think both Wesley and Ian highlighted very key points here for deliberation, because ultimately, which is exactly to the point where understanding the political landscape and understanding your product and how it fits into the larger ecosystem plays a very important role. And both are right in the aspect that it's really your perspective of consideration that would then therefore determine whether is it a good time. And I think to both their points, there is no such thing as a perfect time, but it's really that if I will reiterate Wesley's point about spending time in the market and knowing the ground, because China is huge and you do need to spend those moments there. Now, before I hand it over to the Q&A, or maybe I'll invite our panelists for the parting words. I do want to hand some time to Madam Wei Lan. Madam Wei Lan is the Director of Investment Promotion Office within Shanghai District, and she has prepared some material to share for audience as well, some of the promotional packages that will be of your interest. So let me just take this time now to hand the floor to Madam Shanghai, to Madam Wei Lan. 所以现在有请魏兰主任来跟大家分享一下他所准备的一些资料，然后让跟我们观众理解一下，说我们应该如何通过那个投资办公室投资促进办公室里头的一些政策。
好的呀，各位下午好，非常荣幸能够参加这次的网络讨论会。我呢这个简单，刚刚我们李董呢详细介绍了一下我们徐汇西岸的情况。那我简单介绍一下，大家如果来徐汇投资发展有一些什么样的优势？我呢大概理了3个点，一个呢就是政策上的优势，那第2个上面呢可能是资源上的优势，第3个呢是我们的服务上面的优势。那政策上面是刚才前面也有专家讲的非常详细，有一些比较细节的税收注册方面的政策。那这个呢可能对于上海各个区来说都是差不多的。那徐汇来说有什么特别的呢？就是我们还有比较一大块的一个是产业的政策。那徐汇呢，这个我们有一个4+3+X 的一个产业政策的一个体系。4就是我们的4大千亿级的这个产业，包括我们的数字经济，里面也包括大家关心的公智能，前面有介绍的我们的生命健康，我们的现代金融以及文化创意。这4大产业呢是徐汇的一个发展的基底，徐汇有一批这样的优势的企业都在徐汇，然后也形成了我们的一个产业集群。那我们针对这4大产业呢，也有各方面一个专门的产业的一个发展政策，让企业来徐汇以后能够更加的在这个产业链上能够找到朋友的同时，也把自己的产业做大。那另外一个呢，3就是我们也关注一些我们的一个新的产业的发展赛道。那比如说我们现在徐汇聚焦的3个，像元宇宙，我们的这个绿色低碳以及国际消费中心城市消费方面的3个新的赛道的一个产业发展，我们也希望能够抓住一个产业的新赛道，培育产业一个发展的一个新动能。这个前提下呢，对这3个产业的企业呢，我们有一个专门的扶持发展的一个政策。X 呢，就是说我们对所有来徐汇投资发展的企业呢，我们还有一个庞大的一个人才方面的，包括刚刚前面有人比较了解，想那个介绍的，就是你们我们引进了海外的人才，你们来中国投资以后，你们的居住你们的发展你们落户、你们的绿卡等等的人才方面的政策，以及我们科技创新、企业科技创新，还有我们上市融资，我们的这个中小企业发展以及总部以后发展大了以后，作为总部经济跨国公司地区总部的话，这一方面的一系列的我们的有一个 X 的一个产业体系的支撑。这个是我们整个的产业体系的框架是比较丰富的。我们是希望就除了在税收方面、在注册方面给企业支持以外，我们也希望能够从培养跟企业一起从注册到发展到壮大的一系列的一个全生命周期的一个服务。那第2块呢，就是我们的资源优势，徐汇还是比较明显的。那这一块呢，有一个是载体资源，刚刚我们李董也介绍了，我们徐汇西岸也是我们徐汇重要的一个板块，它这里面有一些特色的产业园区，以及一些专业的商办领域。那我相信企业来徐汇发展的时候，它只能找到合适自己定位的载体来落户、来办公、来发展。那第2个呢，就是我们的科技创新资源是非常丰富的。我们整个徐汇 有将近121家国家级和市级的研发机构，还有18所我们像交大、上海交大、华东理工这样的高等院校，以及我们也有像启智研究院、数图研究院等等的国家级的这个实验室，所以我们的创新创业的氛围非常浓厚。我们徐汇区也是每万人的发明专利全市第1的一个区域，所以说我们的科技创新的资源也是非常充沛的。我们还有为了科技企业发展，也有一些公共的服务性的平台提供给我们落户在我们徐汇的企业。那第3点呢，就是我们的社会资源是非常充沛的。那各位来到上海、来到徐汇发展的话，那我们徐汇的宜居环境也是不错的，包括我们教育、我们的卫生医疗以及我们的文化底蕴都是丰富的，所以也是一个不仅能够工作的地方，也是能够居家生活，很适合居家生活。
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have kind of lost connection with Madam Wei. But that said, we do not want to. Let's allow us to continue the proceedings of this webinar. Now, before we end off, now perhaps maybe I'll just want to invite my panelists again, and let me bring back Ian and Wesley. Before we go, maybe you guys have years and decades of experience working in China, and I think before we part today, if I could just invite you to share one key advice that you have for our audience, what would that be? You know, should they want to consider entering to China? And maybe let me invite Ian first.
Oh yes, perhaps I would put it this way. Just like any businesses, it's about managing risk. I'm actually taking it from Wesley's earlier point. It's about managing your risks. So managing your risk, it means a few areas that you like to look at. I mentioned about getting the right principles, how you approach the market. I mentioned. We also talk about partnership. Who do you partner? And then location. We also spoke about. And my last point is that please go in with in Chinese we call it 放长线钓大鱼. So you are looking from a longer perspective, all right, and you're prepared for a long engagement, and then you are going for the big fish, all right. If you position yourself to go for the small fish, you'll probably get the shrimps. So make sure you are in the market after the big fish. All right. Make sure it is something that can grow. It is something that would eventually grow big, because it must be worthwhile the risk that you are taking. Yeah, that's my advice. Thank you.
Right. Sorry, Wesley. Before I hand over to your party, I believe our friends from Shanghai District is back online. So maybe I'll invite Madam Wei to continue. 魏主任，可能我们你已经在线了，可能我们就邀请你再继续吧。
那我最后总结一句话好了，因为刚才也不知道什么时候掉线的，就是欢迎大家到徐汇来投资发展。我们这里有很好的政策，也有广阔的投资的发展的一个空间。然后我们更会给大家有一个整体的一个服务团队，帮大家全方位的做好一个任何方面的一个服务工作。
谢谢魏主任。那我们我也会相对的把这些资料以英语跟大家解说一下。那真的也很谢谢你们的今天的支持啊。So to ladies and gentlemen, Madam Wei has actually spent quite a bit of time to elaborate on some of the initiatives that's available for within Shanghai District. And notwithstanding, some of these things are very common among Shanghai, but Shanghai District itself has very specific support scheme that's able to support foreign investment into Shanghai District. And I think a couple of things she highlighted I would like to call out is that there is no lack of talents within Shanghai District in terms of whether they hire. So she has mentioned there's more than 120 R&D centers within Shanghai with and numerous industry or higher learnings around the space. And I just want to call out again, shared by Mr. Lee as well, on how Shanghai has managed to gel between innovation and especially in the field of AI with arts. So, and that really makes the whole place a lot more thriving, in terms of a location to enter. Now, thank you so much. And then now let me hand it over to Wesley for the parting. So Wesley, any final advice you have for our audience here today?
Yeah, one thing I would like to share certainly would be 要厚脸皮, dare to ask. I guess that's very, very different. Even though there's black and white policies everywhere, but dare to ask, how can we be different? How can they, as in the China provincial or district government can support us? For example, we can go in and say, hey, since we go in, if any projects, whether small or big or medium, we can ask for them. Is any projects from the district government or provincial government that they can give to us to start off with? That would be something that I think is a very good proposition, just like what ST Engineering has done in China. Before they go in and set up the entity in whatever provincial or district government, they will always ask the local government, what is the project you can give it to me to at least let me start off with. Then subsequently with this, with the ongoing project, I can then hire people, grow the company, contribute back the tax to the government. So therefore, I guess whole LMP is something that I would like to share, there to ask. Do not take it A as in A. Always ask how about B, how about C. I guess those are the things that I strongly encourage all of us think differently. Don't use the Singapore mentality to say, well, the black and white, so there's no black and white. There to ask, the policy can be customized. So therefore, I guess that's the final sharing. Of course, I guess do consider Putuo and and these two Shanghai District, they do have a very good policies to support. But I'll just say, well, we also have to do a lot of homework to do a comparison as well. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Wesley. Thank you, Ian. And once again, 再次我想跟大家给我们线上的中国朋友让我徐树杰，上海市普陀区政府副区长，李飞宇，上海西岸开发集团有限公司董事长，还有蔚蓝上海市徐汇区投资促进办公室主任，谢谢你们的鼎力支持，还有你们的演讲跟发言。那我们也很感激你对我们这次这个研讨会的进行的一些探讨。那我们也希望说在线上的那些听众们都会对普陀和徐汇更进一步的了解和认识。And once again, I also like to thank Ian and Wesley for taking us to join us. It's a lot of nuggets of truth that you've shared so far. And once again, and what's about news to all my listeners today, thank you for taking time and joining us today. We overrun by quite a lot, but thank you for staying through the end, and I hope that we'll be able to support you further. Should you like to get in touch with any of our participants or our speakers today, do let us know. And especially we have a survey after questionnaire after that. Do feedback to us as well, and we'll be happy to make those connections. And once again, thank you very much. Take care, everyone. See you. 再见。